far away.
It probably is. And it seems, I mean, my experience on this front is largely from a military angle and looking at a lot of the footage that's coming out and a lot of the sensor feeds that have come out. And the thing that what we really need even more than discovering microbes, like these flying objects.
Yeah.
The problem is that most of them, and I'm not saying all of them, most of them, we're only capturing them on, let's say, one sensor, like a camera is seeing it or a radar is seeing it. It's very rare to get both of those totally different types of sensors looking at it at the same time. It's relatively easy to imagine a world where a sensor would have an error or an artifact, or even that's being actively spoofed, right? Like people are actively trying to trick it. You can make radars see things that aren't there. You can make cameras see things that aren't there if you're really smart about how you interact with them. It's very hard to make something that makes a radar and a camera see something that isn't there in a way that perfectly aligns with what is there. Now, you saw the recent one with the Hellfire that was fired, and it appears to have broken up but then kept moving.
Yeah.
That's interesting because now you have something that's on a camera and you sent another thing with a seeker and it got there and it blew up.
Is that definite real footage?
I mean, I believe...
It's been verified?
I am probably not in a position where I should say if I know if it's been verified, but I'll tell you this: I believe the footage is real.
Let's run it through Perplexity and ask.
What do you mean by verified, though?
Just ask if it has been verified that this is legitimate footage from the military of whatever they thought it was going to be, and a Hellfire missile hits it.
I do believe that one of the members of the unidentified aerial phenomenon committees in Congress introduced it into a hearing.
That's where it came from. It came from a hearing.
Yeah. So
who released it?
It didn't just show up on Twitter.
Oh, okay. Which guy released it? So you're working there, and while you're working there, you're under this crazy schedule. Forgive me for explaining your story, but you would get these phone calls. You would have to go to the airport at 11 p.m., and your wife started thinking that you were having an affair.
Yeah, apparently so. Now, I did give my permission to have, as part of the, security clearance process, I gave written permission to have the phones monitored and things of that sort, so they weren't doing any covert stuff. They, with any Q clearance, which is civilian top secret clearance or military top secret clearance, they go talk to friends and, places you've been, make sure you're not connected to foreign countries. But, monitoring your phone is nothing unusual. However, they insisted that, you don't even talk to your loved one, to your partner, to your wife, whatever, about what's going on. So she was essentially in the dark and didn't know the phone was being monitored. Well, part of the security clearance is that not only do you not have any connections to foreign countries and aren't a maniac, but you have to have a stable home life too. Well, she started having an affair with a flight instructor. Now, they were monitoring this on the phone, and they knew it, and I didn't. So they stopped me coming in, and their attitude at the time was, we need to see how this is going to play out, and if Lazar's going to get a little weird or anything. So let's just, hold him off from coming in and, see what happens.
And they explained this to you, what was happening?
Well, after the fact, yeah, because time kind of went on, and there were guys that were following me around, and I started getting a little concerned, going, well, shit, are they booting me out of the project? And if so, they're not just going to let me hang out at home and go get a new job knowing what I know. So as time went on, I started getting a little concerned, and I took my closest friends and just kind of got together. And I said, hey, remember that job I told you about? This is what's going on. And you don't need to take my word for it. Wednesday night, we need to all go out here. I want to show you what's going on. So I took everybody, and we went out to, remember, since I had the test flight schedule, and went outside the base, out into the desert, and so everybody could see, one of the high-performance tests. And, it left quite an imprint on everybody, so they knew I wasn't
And there's videos
crazy.
of these tests, right?
Yeah, but remember, this is in the dark in the 80s with a big monster-sized camcorder, and you got, a bright light jumping around. But, we did video of it, but there's no by today's standards, it's.
But is
it's
your
garbage.
video specifically available? The video that you took?
Yeah, well, George Knapp has it.
Is it
I give
online?
it to him.
Do you know?
I have no idea.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I show clips of it in my film. It's
Right.
it's online, and someone did a deep analysis of it. It was interesting to take a look at how.
Pull this microphone up to your face. Give me about a fist from your face.
All right. To see how his video looks now, but as far as video evidence, I mean, we are talking 80s camcorders. The most important thing is the human story here. Everybody that he took up there on 3 separate occasions, they don't all like each other. They don't all talk. They all agree on one thing. They saw something that night at the exact point in time and space that Bob Lazar said. And remember, this is 17 miles south of Area 51. No one even knew really about Area 51. We're talking Papoose Lake, and they all agree. They saw something that night they had never seen before, and they've never seen since, right when he said it. So that's one of like the 6 things where I'm like, how did he know? You can dismiss him. I tried to dismiss it. But some things we can't get around, and there's about 5 or 6 of them. How did he know about those?
If Jamie wants to find that video right now, what would he look under?
Bob Lazar, UFO, S4, Area 51, just kind of like that. So it's like the S4 UFO video, Bob Lazar, and a guy does an analysis, but you're analyzing these 80s videos.
Right.
He from the very beginning, Bob never said, I have proof of my story and I'm going to tell the world. He said at the very beginning, I cannot prove my story. That's not why I'm telling this. George Knapp convinced him to tell people, and he lived through it. And I didn't believe it either until I talked with George.
Okay, so you film this test flight, one test flight, and then you get caught.
Actually, it was, I think, the 3rd time, because we went out there the first time. Everybody saw it. Everybody was amazed because it did some radical maneuvers, and everybody had a lot to say about it.
Maneuvers that I've seen the video. It doesn't. I don't think there's something we have now that does that.
No,
in terms of like a human piloted craft. I mean, I don't know, obviously, with the government.
No, it's impossible. Nothing can move like that. And remember, we didn't start filming from the very beginning. We were waiting for something, to happen. The craft took off and then came flying at us, stopped, turned at a right angle, flew back, and then, after it did some, amazing stuff, we like, to get the camera, and then we started filming. So it doesn't have all of it on there; it just has some.
The way I describe it to my friends, and they said, "What does this look like?" I said, "Take a laser pointer, and then have a wall, and then move it around the wall." Like, how it moves around the wall, it doesn't seem like it has anything to do with inertia or physics, or it's not impeded in any way by the atmosphere.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like.
You're essentially separated from reality, as crazy as that sounds, with being in case its own gravitational envelope. Inertia is not going to affect it. And, this is how some of those recent sightings with Commander David Fravor, I'm sure you've heard of the Tic Tac UFO. I mean, he describes exactly, the thing operates exactly the way I was describing. That's why he was interested to talk to me. But we saw this, and, on the way home, it's like, hey, we got away with it. We should try it again the next test flight date. So this became a thing to do. And I think it was on the 3rd time that we got caught. I mean, we started becoming a little careless. I think we took a motorhome out there. And, it was like the stupidest thing you could possibly imagine.
Started tailgating.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And
again, you're in your 20s.
Yeah. And, what was funny was we went out there, and my friend Gene Huff and I were leaning on the front of a vehicle. And just for some reason, we just started talking shit. Like, I hope they realize that, I don't remember what we were saying, but, that something about attacking the base or something along those lines and stealing the craft or something like that.
Something crazy.
And then about 20 feet in front of us, we see a little green light fall on the ground and roll to us. And unbeknownst to us, now it's pitch black, you can't see your hand in front of your face. There were a bunch of guards standing right out there, and they had a night vision scope where they were like from here to the wall looking at us, listening to us, and the guy dropped it, and the scope rolled over to us, and you could see the green screen. We turned the lights on, and all these guys are there. So it was,
whoa.
Yeah, Yeah. So we did incredibly stupid stuff and got caught, as we should have. Cause it
So
was stupid.
when they catch you and they bring you in, then what happens?
Well, I went in for debriefing. The following day, I went to Indian Springs Air Force Base, which is kind of a defunct base that they used to use at the nuclear test site. And this is when they brought out the transcript of the phone call with my wife. And, you know, they sat me down and we said, you know, when we meant to keep the secret, we meant you can't tell your friends, right? You know, and it just being sarcastic and trying to. And then they got real serious. But this is where they, you know, took the transcript out and were reading me what my wife and, you know, our friend were talking about. And I don't know, it was a hard time.
So what happens from there? What do they do with you? Why don't they arrest you?
I don't know. I don't know why. I'm not sure exactly they knew what to do, but they did let me go that night, and I went home. And this is kind of when the most stressful part started.
Because you're realizing that you're being monitored.
Yeah,
24/7.
now I know. Not only am I being monitored, but now I know I'm in trouble. And it wasn't a short time after that I contacted. You know, at that time the only investigative reporter I had heard of in Las Vegas was George Knapp, and you know, told him some of the story because I had no idea what the hell was going to happen at that point.
So George Knapp tries to dissect your story, tries to find holes in it, tells it, puts it online, and makes everybody aware of it, and that's how I found out about it.
Yeah, to make a long story short. Yeah.
What happens, to really make a long story short, what happens from there on? I mean, do they contact you and say, hey, Bob, it's probably a good idea if you shut up?
Oh,
Did they try to label you as crazy? Was there...
There were a lot of things that happened at, you know, between that point. I'm leaving out a lot of stuff to fill in the story. We'd have to go back to Los Alamos and well, I really don't want to talk about that. The
top secret weapons stuff that you were working on.
No, I'm talking about the 115.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know. I have to think about how I'd.
What is the problem with this?
I don't want to get myself into more trouble by admitting something. So I just have to dance around a couple.
He was rated just during the filming of the movie. People thought it was
the movie's great, by the way.
Thanks, Joe.
And it's on Netflix right now if anybody wants to check it out. But the question is, like, why would we assume that it's a biological entity? It doesn't have any windows. It's this round thing that looks like a Tic Tac. If there is some sort of advanced propulsion system, some revolutionary way of moving through space and time that the U.S. government has developed, you know, in some Black Ops program, that seems very likely impossible. That seems more likely than aliens visiting us. But there's more than one incident, and there's a lot of these things. And the possibility of alien life in the universe, although we've never experienced it, seems rational. It seems very rational. And if you were going to study an emerging civilization that is both primitive and warlike and yet insanely technologically advanced to the point where they have nuclear weapons, they can transmit video through the sky, they have propaganda, they have tracking of their citizens, like that's us. Mm-hmm. That's us right now. And while we are these territorial primal beings with fucking nuclear weapons, this would be a good time to start exposing yourself.
Yes.
And to stop this nonsense.
Insanity.
Yeah. And look, the reason why we named the rooms at our club Fat Man and Little Boy is because in UFO lore, that's when they started showing up. After the detonation of the atomic bombs in Japan, that's when the UFO sightings ramped up.
And they ramped up mostly in the U.S., right?
Yes.
So that's interesting because the U.S. was the nuclear power. So
and we were the one who was doing a lot of fucking testing.
Yeah.
You know, and also we have all these military bases. Who the fuck has more military bases than us?
No one.
Who has more nuclear weapons pointed at other people than us? We have them all over the place. And there's all these multiple sightings and eyewitness accounts of like very credible people who say these things have hovered over military bases.
It'd be pretty cool if these aliens were benevolent overlords. And they were like, hey, my children.
Yeah.
You know?
or maybe even so advanced intellectually that the concept of an overlord is preposterous, and they're just biological management. There's just the gardeners tending to make sure the weeds don't get out of hand, and just like let this process continue to play itself out, because this process of technological innovation it's the everything that humans do.
Yeah.
It's what we do at the pinnacle of our creation is we make better technology.
Well, I always wonder about fractals and whether or not, like, this idea of this being a simulation, this being, like we are kind of replicating, we are creating machines and doing our best to create them in our own image, right?
Yes.
And that's interesting. That's because the mythologies that we subscribe to are the idea that this God that we pray to made us in his image. Right. And we're doing the same thing now with robots and computers. And that's an interesting thing that we seem to have this sort of paradigm, this idea that that's the scaffolding for the way we think, right? And to what end? And why are we doing that?
Maybe it's the creation
has it
of
already
a new
happened?
life form.
But has it already happened? Are we the result of that impulse that happened a long time ago?
I think we are the shit-throwing chimps that are going to become the nuclear physicists.
That's what
we are the shit-throwing chimps from 2001 that become Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think this thing that we become is integrated with technology. It's probably some sort of a hybrid. It's some sort of a cyborg.
That's wild.
Because I think we're already like on the verge of merging. All this talk of like Neuralink and all these various things. We watched this video the other day of this guy who was Googling questions and getting answers in his head with his headpiece on. Have you seen that thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Incredible. Right? So how long before that is like that's Pong?
I know. But that's...
And then you have the Unreal 4 engine in 2023 that looks like a movie.
No.
Like how long before that technology gets to the point where it's just supremely advanced and we literally are like gods?
But my question really is also the idea that that's engineering, right? That's a tool.
It's innovation.
But there's engineering. So there are two aspects to it. One is getting information faster and stuff, which doesn't get you closer to truth, but it gets you information faster. There are endless facts. But more importantly, I always wonder, like, why we are given this. I really believe that human potential is pretty much infinite. Whatever you can imagine and beyond, we can do. And we are doing. We seem to be doing this. Like, think about how crazy that is. I can wear a headset and I can do things with my mind and look up the answer.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's magic. It's crazier than magic. But there's a way to measure that and quantify that and replicate that. So it's not magic. I can do it and I can tell you exactly how I get there, which is even crazier. So what is that leading us to? It is nudging us closer. It's like I think it's very significant that we're getting a better understanding of what it's like to be someone else.
Yeah.
We are. It's really hard to say that a Yanomamo Indian or whoever it might be thinks about things differently than I do, when I know so much about how all these human beings, like someone in Iran, someone in Jordan, laughs and cries and bleeds at the same thing I do. It's being prejudiced based on what that person looks like over there is becoming harder and harder to justify. Where it was before we knew about that, we were like, well, those people over there are quote unquote savages, or they're this, that, and the other thing. And I do think that we are getting a better understanding of what it's like to be each other and being nudged in the same direction. I'm not saying we don't become tribal.
I think that's true too.
But why? And it's interesting to think about where that's leading us to what understanding. And then when we have that understanding, what are we going to do about that?
Right. And are we going to pull it together? And are the aliens here to make sure that we don't fuck it up?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the beautiful idea. The terrible idea is that it's all us. And then it's all a big ruse, and it's all just drones that we're doing because we don't want China and Russia to know about it. But we have insane propulsion systems that operate on gravity. And
yeah. I think it is us.
But
I hate to tell you.
It seems like both. It seems like us, and it also seems like there's some shit that we just don't understand. And I don't know if those people are telling the truth. Because if the people that are telling the truth that there's biological entities, and this is what Jackie Gleason said that Nixon told him, and Nixon took him on they were drinking. You know that famous story?
No.
who knows if it's true. It's a legend. But the legend is that Jackie Gleason and Nixon were drinking, and that Nixon said, "You want to see some fucking aliens?" And they get on Air Force One, and they fly to some Air Force base, and they go to a place where they have a crashed UFO, and they have biological beings that are in freezers. And Jackie Gleason sees this. And Jackie Gleason, after that, has a house built in upstate New York that looks like a UFO. He became obsessed with UFOs after it. There was a house, it was actually for sale at one point in time. Yeah, so he has this house that he had shaped like a UFO. And this is like, who knows if this is a true story?
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like, it was kind of sort of disputed. His ex-wife told the story or something like that. I forget.
I think that kind of thing is actually impossible to keep secret.
No, I don't think so.
Really?
No, I don't
you
think so at all.
generational, like
Yeah.
generations of government bureaucrats can keep something a secret?
Sure,
I don't
they
think so.
tell the people at the very highest level know about it. It's very few people. It's all very compartmentalized.
they're always-
they monitor everyone's phone calls, everyone's emails, everything everyone
Impossible.
does.
Impossible.
At a top secret clearance level,
No way.
I don't think
Impossible.
you're right.
Totally
You're
impossible.
definitely not right.
I think it's impossible.
Listen, man, they can keep secrets.
When?
People
Which
at high
ones?
levels of military can keep secrets.
Yeah, but they're
People
always
that-
rotating out. They're retiring. They're dying.
Yeah, they probably wind up fucking Hillary Clinton and a lot of those dudes.
Hey, listen, dude. This is not the.
That's a
this is not
verb.
Conspiracy Social Club. This
Might
is
as
the
well
Joe
be.
Rogan experience.
I am not willing to relinquish the idea that they could keep that secret.
Well, that's 'cause it's
I think
fun to
it's-
believe in.
Yeah, but it's not just fun to believe in. It is possible. It's a physically possible thing to do, especially if you have the right people and they're indoctrinated in the right way with top secret clearance. And by the way, it's not like these people don't tell their friends, and it's not like there's a bunch of stories floating around, because there
Right.
are. There's a shitload of stories.
That's what I'm
floating
saying.
around.
But why would you like? I would never keep that a secret. I'd be like, hey,
Well,
hey, you got
but here's
fucking
the thing.
aliens.
Here's the thing. When you have senators and congressmen who find out about this, and they find out that military contractors are the ones who have access to this stuff, because the back engineering program has to involve someone who has the capability of recreating this. So who would that be? That would be the people that make jets. If you got someone who's making you a fucking a stealth bomber, and you have a crashed UFO, those are the people that you want discussing like what kind of things you've recovered from a fucking alien crash, and can this be replicated?
No, here's the problem with your
I mean,
whole
don't
theory.
you know me, motherfucker? Because
Listen,
you don't
man,
know. You might be
this
wrong.
is your wrong. No,
No, no, no.
this is
Don't say you're wrong,
this is
because
the
you don't
problem.
know that
This
I'm
is the
wrong.
problem with your theory. Ready?
Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry, and I love that you want to believe in this, and so do I. But here's the problem.
Okay.
There's no law. There's no written law that says I'm not allowed to talk about aliens. And I mean at the level, the top levels of clearance, like the most secret level. There is no world where if I'm a government official and I take a bunch of pictures and I come before Congress and I go, here's my evidence, I'm blowing the whistle, there are real aliens.
You don't think they would go after you for
I'd never go to jail.
violating your top secret clearance?
No, because it's not violating my top secret clearance.
But it would
because,
be.
Nope.
I don't
Because
think you're right.
I'd never go to jail for that. Because I'd be like, you're going to put me in jail for exposing what everybody wants to know? The whole world would be like, holy shit, you guys kept
But
this a
that's
secret?
assuming that you have access to that material to extract
There are enough
it
people who
from
would.
wherever maybe not. Maybe those are the kind of people that wouldn't do that, Brian.
Listen,
You
my
fucking
friend.
communist. I don't like the way you think.
I'm shredding your UFO
No,
theories.
you're not.
Listen,
You think you are, but you're
you-
just using these establishment.
you're allowed to
talking
talk
points.
about UFOs and
sound
you
like
never
your
get in
dad.
trouble.
You sound like your dad.
Come on, man. First tell
you're
me
a
Andy Schultz
CIA
will beat me up.
stooge. You're a CIA
I'll call my dad
stooge,
right now.
And you're in here spreading propaganda to the faithful listeners.
Listen to
of
me.
this
Listen to me. There are no aliens, and if there are, we'd know about it because it's
If
not
there is, you're
against
going to
the
come
law.
back on dressed like a clown. Agreed?
Agreed.
That's my bets I'm making with everybody now.
I'll
If
dress
they
up
lose,
like
you
a
gotta dress
clown.
like a clown.
I'll do it.
The TikTok craft or Tic Tac craft. Goddamn
Yeah,
TikTok.
'cause of TikTok, yeah.
Can't get away from that
Yeah.
word. The Tic Tac craft that was spotted off San Diego. It performed something spectacular
Yeah.
in terms of its ability to go from the surface of the water to 60,000 feet in how long?
So less than a second, but there's actually more to it. There was a craft. Remember, I was talking with Commander Fravor before this was public.
Yeah.
There was a craft under the water too. The Tic Tac would drop from 60,000 feet is what they're saying, 60 to 80, but that's the scan volume of the Spy 1 radar. So everybody I've talked with said they were coming from above. They were coming from outer space, dropping down within a second and stopping on a dime and then making the movements Commander Fravor saw, like inside of a glass. Then he said to me in our first talk ever, I'll never forget this, because I'm talking to a fighter pilot and I got to talk fighter pilot, and I don't, and he says to me, "It noticed me." And I go, "What do you mean it noticed you?" And he says, "As I was descending rapidly to engage it, it turned its nose and began to intelligently mirror my movements, came right up by me, and he says, faster than you can see, you can't even see a bullet leave a gun. No, it just, bam, shot off." He goes, "We don't have anything like that. I wish we did. We don't. Whatever propels that is not a reactionary propulsion system."
Meaning it's not pushing something off the back to get it to go forward.
Like everything
like
else,
fire and explosions.
It's a field propulsion. Yeah, like anything else we
Yeah.
know, you got to have something going back to go forward. Rockets, we're still using the same ones from back in the
Right.
day. This thing instantaneously, without effects of inertia, can move. Now, and that distortion, that's exactly how Bob described these things would work or do work in his opinion. So Commander Fravor got to see it. Now, and these incursions, by the way, look, there's stuff George reports on. There's a lot he doesn't. As a filmmaker myself, people tell me stories all the time. These incursions, it's not a rarity. These are happening to this day. I just heard about one in Guam. Incursions over high security airspace over our weapons systems. And in Guam, there was just recently an incursion. The Pantex facility with the igloos where we hold our nuclear weapons and stuff like that, there are incursions over these. So to George's point, the reason why maybe all of this is secret is not because we can't handle it, people flip out. Maybe we just want to make sure we fucking get this tech first because it's a game changer.
Now, let's talk about the people that have tried to debunk this and why they're off. Because they've made some debunking claims about some of these videos and about the technology that was used to track these things. That's incorrect. Where they don't really understand what they're debunking.
Right.
So please explain that, because that's one of the things that people are immediately going to go to. They're going to go, well, Mick West has already debunked it. And I've read the stuff that he says. It's mental gymnastics to try to explain it the way he's explaining it without recognition of the fact that these things were actively blocking radar. These things were actively blocking tracking systems. These were physical crafts. This is not like a bird.
No.
Or so,
It's
like a lot of the
impossible.
wacky theories that he has are like, I wonder, it's real weird, like that a smart man can make such really bizarre conclusions. Very weird. Almost like someone wants him to do those.
Sure. I mean, look, it's so exciting that we're seeing something and the government's saying, okay, these are UFOs. We have not identified them. They have propulsion techniques that we don't have. And we're just talking about the videos.
Let's talk about the debunking, though.
Okay.
Talk about the debunking and what his claims are in the debunking.
Okay, so one that I recently attacked because it was so ridiculous is he was saying that the Go Fast video, which is this, object that goes along in a straight line, one of the 3 videos that was released. He said what was probably a bird. That was his first theory.
Let's pull up the Go Fast video.
Yeah. I mean, I recently went deep into talking with Boeing experts who work on these FLIR pods. They're telling me how they work, what they can capture, why.
Explain what a FLIR pod is.
A forward-looking infrared. So basically on fighter planes, you have a camera.
So here's the video. We're pulling it up right here.
Sure, that's mounted. And it's essentially recording in thermal imagery. These things are, this is not Instagram. These things are weapons systems that are highly trained to be able to accurately represent spatial awareness and to be able to target enemy combatants. This is not an iPhone, an Instagram. These are weapons for us. So out of the 3 videos, if we just look at this one, although I like the Tic Tac one with Commander Fravor and I like the gimbal one, those are awesome. This one gives us very little information. But the idea that this would be a bird, if you talk to anybody that uses these pods, you can't pinpoint on a bird. You can't lock a weapon system on a frickin' bird.
Well, look how fast it's going, too.
Well, here's what's so interesting is everybody can debate speed.
So this is where it's locked in on it.
Right.
So the weapon system is locked in on this thing, and it's tracking it now.
Right. And they got real excited when they locked it because they said boxed a moving target, right? So here's the deal, though. Out of anything I could say about this video, because there's not a lot of information in there, what I can say is that object you're seeing is colder than the surface of the ocean. Now, I looked up the surface of the ocean temperature at that location at that time because we had the information. It was like 65 degrees. What propulsion system? So a bird is about 100 and let's say 5 degrees, like a seagull. Seagulls can go maybe 15 miles an hour. I don't know how fast they can go. But they wouldn't be colder than the ocean. They'd be hypothermic and dead. It cannot be a bird because what we're seeing is a colder object than the surface of the water. That's why you're seeing it white.
And how fast is it going?
That's under debate. There's different
interpretations.
Yeah. So I'll give you one interpretation about 240 miles an hour. Some people say, and then they can argue, well, the fastest bird in a nosedive could go that fast. So back up. We have an object that is colder than the surface of the ocean. That immediately gets rid of the bird theory because a bird would be hypothermic and drop like a paperweight into the water. It cannot fly at that. So that's the piece of information I would attack that debunking with.
But this video, when you're watching that, if it is going 200 miles an hour, that's not outside of what's possible with spacecraft or aircraft or just planes.
Right, but it's cold.
I understand that.
That's pretty cool.
But it's very interesting. But it's not moving anywhere near as fast as the Tic Tac.
No. This is just something, because this is part, and George can tell you, this was part of a much bigger series of events. So like the gimbal craft itself, that's another debunking thing. They said it's a plane banking away and you're seeing it through thermal. First of all, talk with the pilot. Not fucking so.
This is the gimbal.
Yeah, the gimbal.
He's pulling it up right now.
And
how fast is this thing supposed to be going?
The speed, from what I recall, wasn't registered on the radar. It's not that it's going fast. If you talk with the pilots, it was rotating. It was spinning like a top, and for like 11 hours without refueling. I mean, the thing was just sitting out there. This is an occurrence that happened over a course of many, many weeks. Now, when it rotates like that, the debunking theory is that you're seeing a plane bank. So as if our military doesn't know what another plane is. Other planes look very different when you see them through thermal. This thing was self-rotating, and I just did an interview.
And how fast is this, or rather, how warm is this thing supposed to be? Is this supposed to actually be hot?
I am unaware of
because you're looking at it through thermal, right?
Yeah, I'm unaware of the specifics of that one when it comes to heat. All I know is that it is self-actuating. It is not something that is a glare or flare of a heat signature, making it look like it's turning. The actual craft is self-actuating.
And what is that halo around it?
That's just an artifact of the FLIR thermal. It's not.
The premise that the U.S. government would tell you, all right, look, we're going to release these videos reluctantly. Lou Elizondo is the guy that got them released, and then the U.S. government formally released them a couple of months ago. The idea that the U.S. government would release it, the Pentagon says these are unidentified. If it was a bird or a jet engine, the pilots would not have the kind of reaction that they had that you can hear on the audio.
Yeah.
Our government does not tell members of Congress. The Pentagon doesn't go to the Senate Intelligence Committee, show them those videos and say, it's unidentified if it isn't. And, the reaction of the pilots, the fact that they were forced to release it to begin with, suggests there really is unidentified.
Why do you think they've addressed it? Why do you think that they have addressed the fact they're studying these things? Why not just continue denying it?
I think they were forced to. And some props to Tom DeLonge. I know you guys had a pretty spirited conversation when he was here, but he created an organization. Lou Elizondo, who ran that program, came forward and brought with him those videos. I saw them 2 days after Lou Elizondo stepped on a stage with Tom and said, I was in charge of the program. He and Chris Mellon have been sort of the engineers of getting that story into the New York Times. That changed everything. As I said, the last 2.5 years, everything has turned on its head. The New York Times covers the story. The result is other media covered as well. They've been ignoring it forever, and that allowed people who keep these secrets. That pressure meant that people in Congress started asking questions. 2 days after the story came out, I interviewed Senator Harry Reid, who was the one who got the money to create that program that became ATIP. And he said his phone had been ringing off the hook from other members of Congress who are now suddenly interested. I didn't know there was a program, they're telling him. How do we learn more about this? It started a series of closed-door briefings on Capitol Hill that continue to this day. The pilots, like Dave Fravor, were hauled before Congress, first in front of the staff of the Senate Intelligence and then Senate Armed Services, and then the elected members, these senators who get briefed on it, and they were impressed, and they wanted more pilots to come in. So it's been going on for 2.5 years, and 2 weeks ago, about a month ago now, the culmination of it, Senator Marco Rubio, who is now the chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, drops this bill. And it's the budget for the intelligence budget for the next year. And he includes a UFO provision in there. Congress wants to have a mechanism set up where we get regular briefings from the Pentagon on UFOs. That's an astonishing change of events. It's because of the media pressure and then congressional interest. It made it more acceptable for everybody to pursue the subject matter. It's kind of out of the shadows. And the Pentagon has reacted in fits and starts. So sometimes, as they said to the New York Times, that program ended. Had nothing to do with UFOs. At first they said it did, then they said it didn't. They've admitted Lou Elizondo worked on the program, then they said he didn't. They've said that the OSAP, which is the other program, the mother program that became ATIP, that had nothing to do with UFOs, but it did. So they continue to sort of lie and obfuscate and muddy the waters. But the fact is that there's too much momentum from media and Congress and the public to hide this anymore.
Now, I'm not believe it or not, I'm not into UFOs. I don't follow stories or,
Even after your experiences?
No, I'm fascinated with the technology, and it irks me like every night I go to sleep that, that it was my own doing, essentially, that prevented me from continuing on in the project. I mean, it's that to be on that cutting edge of technology is so alluring to me.
Right.
But by the same token, I don't really care that there's aliens or where they come from. I mean, the prize is the technology, and that's what I'm fascinated by. But so I don't listen to UFO stories and that sort of thing. But George Knapp is, he's the guy that has the contacts and tries to thread everything together. And what he recently told me is he found, I don't know, it was either documentation or people that he spoke to. It's that the existence of this project, the project that I was on, it's something that they seem to take out every 8 or 10 years.
So that's a very specific memo, and this is actually, this is the first time I'll be very clear with people about it. It's a big topic of conversation right now. It's called the Wilson Memo. You can look it up. Admiral Wilson met with a scientist who's actually was featured in one of my films. Everybody has been debating whether or not this document of a conversation with a sitting admiral at the time is a real document. It's an actual conversation that happened, and this document is real. Everybody wants to know. The world is going crazy right now in the UFO world. I'll tell you straight up right now, I'm in the position to know, and it is a real document, that it is real. So the conversation you read in that conversation was had. I can't attest to every...
You're not being very clear.
Sure.
Please.
No problem. So there was a document that is circulating right now that is really big. It's going around everywhere. People are asking and wondering.
What is this document?
It's called the Wilson Memo, is how you can find it online, or the Wilson Leak.
There it is. Jimmy's got it. The Wilson Memorandum. Use of human volunteers.
No.
I just wanted to make sure that was it. Yeah.
No, that's not it.
Okay.
Yeah. So Admiral Wilson meets with this scientist, and they have this discussion, oddly enough, at special projects at EG&G. And if I remember, the document is from 2001. I'm telling everybody right now, it's real. And we'll see. My history is pretty good with saying if something's real or not, right? So here we go. The document comes out. They meet at EG&G Special Projects. In 1989, they stumble into a problem. This happens. They put the technology away, and then they bring it back out and see if material science has caught up and if they can make any progress. So this document kind of talks about this process. The big thing I get from it, and a lot of it's vindicating to Bob, and one of the things it's vindicating, besides the EG&G thing, is that private industry, so this guy's an admiral, and he says, I found out about your SAP, your Special Access Program. I need to know about it. And he's going to a private part of industry, and he is denied access. And he says, I should be running this program. And they were able to deny him access. So I think the takeaway here is check it out. I'm telling you that is an actual correct, that is a leak. Now, everything said in that document, I don't know.
What are you talking about? What is said in that document specifically?
It's between a scientist and an admiral that are sitting and they're having a meeting and they're talking about the search for the UFO subject, the search to get special access program access to all of these different things like reverse engineering programs. So in this document, they talk about it. I believe that this document, the person that went was employed by Robert Bigelow, one of the guys that has a couple of orbiting satellites and all that stuff.
He's the guy who owns Skinwalker Ranch.
No, he's not. He was the guy that owns
He used
Skinwalker.
to own it. Okay.
Yeah, he used to own it. There's a new owner, and I interviewed him for my other film, but there's a new owner, and you'll be hearing a lot more about that soon. But there's stuff that you'll be hearing about Skinwalker Ranch soon because there's a new owner. Anyway, the whole point of this insertion here is just that document kind of validates a lot of this idea Bob just said, that they make a little progress, then they can't go anywhere. They tuck it away, and then they bring it back out, 10 years later and start working on it. What is the limiting factor? I think Bob should speak on this, but it's the material science.
Yeah, it's really where physics is. So I can see them doing that. I mean, I didn't have any information on that, but I think what George uncovered is probably accurate. That we try and do what we can, and once we reach a roadblock, going, we really can't figure it out. It's just friggin' put the thing away, wait for science to catch up, and a decade later, let's take the project out again and see. All right, now where can we go?
But there's got to be someone who remains informed, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you've got your scientists like you and Barry. You got your people that you compartmentalize. You got these people working on this
there
project.
has to be some people that know everything.
You've got security, and then someone's going to be on the outside saying, hey, we need people to guard this building. Don't let anybody in for 10 years.
I think a lot of that is private industry, and I think that's how they keep it. Yeah, I think that's how they because the government is just so leaky. I think that's kind of what they're doing.
That's what the document kind of proves. You just articulated that it is in control of private industry.
What private industry? Some aerospace company, something?
I don't know.
Yeah, the admiral wouldn't name it in the car in the conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
So they still have these things, supposedly.
I would guess. I mean, I don't have any information on that.
Have you ever asked anyone that has any inkling of any idea of where they got them or how they got them?
No, but something must have been said to me from Barry. But it was just too long ago, and I can't quite remember what was said, but it just left a seed in my mind. I think at least one of them was part of an archaeological dig. So it's old. At least one of them is old. I don't know if it was the one I worked on, but I remember something to do with an archaeological dig.
Whoa.
So that means it's not just old, it's ancient.
That'd be a great Steven Spielberg movie.
Yeah.
Right?
As all of it would. Yeah.
Yeah, that tripped me out when he said that for the first time.
Yeah. That's a freak out right there. Just a couple of dudes with some brushes looking for a Tyrannosaurus Rex bone. They hit metal.
And when did they find it? That they have 9 of them.
Yeah.
Well, and how could we have not heard about that? What about the guys with the brushes? How could you uncover something like that? And
well, Joe's newspaper at home does. I mean, they said it on that first day.
Oh, you mean the Roswell Daily Record?
Yeah, the one you told me. Yeah,
I have a cover. What is this here, Jamie?
This is the document, but I had to do some digging to find it.
Yeah, it's just kind of... Yeah, so this is where they meet at EG&G, and this is Admiral Wilson, and there's a lot more coming out. Now, I want to be clear, George didn't put this out. He didn't leak this out to anybody. This is, I can tell you how
Who recorded this conversation?
So this was an employee of, at the time, Robert Bigelow.
And this is in 2002?
Right. Do you remember when he had that government contract called OSAP, the world all knows about now, and he had NIDS that studied the ranch? So that $22 million, everybody is saying it was for ATIP, Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. The $22 million was for OSAP that was pushed through Congress, 3 congressmen, right, an astronaut. It was pushed through. And that's what that $22 million, by the way, they spend more money on Viagra every year than they do studying UFOs, if it was just this program, which I think is funny.
They probably make a lot more money from Viagra
they probably
than they
do
from UFOs, too.
Well, you never know how it seeds into population. But anyway, this program this is what was the mother program. So it got the 22 million, and really it was to study Skinwalker Ranch. Oddly enough, that 22 million all was inspired by the phenomenon they were seeing at Skinwalker Ranch, because the scientists, they're seeing vehicles come through like a space in the sky.
Yeah, we went there. I went there
Right,
with Duncan.
yeah,
we interviewed a bunch of people that seemed full of shit, but a couple that didn't.
But
It was very, very interesting.
Totally. And if you look, I spent a lot of time in the area. I'm not talking about those stories. I'm saying there were scientists hired by the government, right, through Bigelow to study the ranch because they thought it was important. And, whatever. The point is that 22 million was to study that. Then we have ATIP, which is like an auxiliary kind of program of military sightings, like Commander Fravers and that sort of thing. This document is just one of those things that has now come forward that through the Bigelow studies, it was government funded, and then it was personally funded and then government funded. It's just one of those things that kind of shakes you, because you got this military guy who can't get access because of the private industry that's holding these non-terrestrial materials, that they can't study it. So that's the claim right now. Give it some time, let people dig more into this. It's fascinating, man.
But now I'm more, the thing I've become obsessed with lately is the skepticism about UFOs.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to talk to you about this, because you told me that you've become obsessed with UFOs recently.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, completely. And it's
Believer?
like... Yeah, totally.
Really?
Yeah, I totally believe the UFO phenomena is real. I don't know what it is, but it has to be real.
Something's happening.
Why is that?
Because there's just way too much evidence that it is real.
What evidence?
Radar evidence that the F-16 locked on a UFO, that footage. And also just, I know that a friend of ours, I don't know if she wants to say it, but her father was an air traffic controller. And he told her, they said, yeah, every air traffic controller has seen something.
Yeah.
And I had another friend whose father was a commercial pilot. And she said, yeah, my dad said every single pilot has seen something. And they've all been told not to say anything about it.
We have a couple of friends that say they were abducted.
Yeah.
Yeah, the abducted one is a little easier to wrap your head around, because when you're sleeping, your brain is producing all sorts of endogenous psychedelic chemicals.
Yeah.
Almost all of these experiences happen when you're sleeping. Almost all these experiences when these people are abducted, they're taken from their beds, which is when they're dreaming.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like there's some real clear, easy steps to follow if you want to follow Occam's razor and not get crazy with it.
But it knocks those out, but it doesn't knock out like Barney and Betty Hill and all the people that are abducted while fully conscious and that remember it without hypnotherapy. I'm not sure about the abduction phenomenon, but
I don't know Barney and Betty Hill. I know the story, but I don't know them.
Yeah.
So I would have to know them, because there's a lot of people that I've I did a show for Sci-Fi called Joe Rogan Questions Everything.
Yeah. I watched that show.
That cured me. That show cured me of a lot of my nonsense with conspiracies.
Well, we used to talk about that stuff all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
But I needed to actually study it. So for 6 months, that's basically all I did. I interviewed people, and Bigfoot believers, UFO believers, and the one thing that they have in common is they all seem to be kind of lost and dependent upon this thing being real.
Yeah.
Right.
Instead of being objective. There's only one lady that I interviewed that saw Bigfoot that really seemed to be telling the truth. But I think she saw a bear. I think bears walk on 2 feet all the time. They do it all the time. There's video footage. You can find it all the time. And she was in the Pacific Northwest, which is incredibly dense woods. You see something, you glimpse it. Look, I was hunting once in Canada, in Alberta, and I thought I saw a wolf for like 2 seconds. It was a squirrel. Okay? Understand this.
This very big squirrel?
What is that? Wolf? No, it's squirrel.
Yeah.
No, I just saw fur.
Right.
I saw fur, and I was, because it's really dense woods. Because I was looking for fucking wolves. Because I was like, because I know we did see one wolf. It crossed the road. It was either a wolf or a coyote. It was hard to tell because it was at dusk. It was very dark out. But when you're looking for something, you think everything is that thing you're looking for. Yeah. So for a second, I thought that fucking squirrel was a wolf.
That's funny.
Yeah. Well, expectation and perception are very linked.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, there's also that they found that 50% of everything you see is a product of memory.
Yes.
That when you observe something, they've done fMRIs, and that most of the activity in the brain is in the memory centers, not in the visual centers.
Interesting.
Only about 50% of the activity is in the visual centers of the brain.
The UFO.
That's crazy.
The UFO thing is very. When I was a kid, I went and saw Carl Sagan speak at U of T at the University of Toronto, and I was like, 14. But he did an equation on the board of the possibility of alien life other than us in the universe. And it came to the smallest. I mean, he spent the whole time writing on this chalkboard. It was fascinating. But he actually came up with a number at the end. And it was such a small. He says there is something out there, but they are so far away that that unless they can go faster than the speed of light, which he said was impossible at the time. This is the 70s.
Yeah.
There's no way we've seen them. That's what he said. So if some other beings have conquered the speed of light thing, then maybe we could see them.
Yeah. But that's a thing with a problem with this skepticism in general is like that it, like the skeptics of the 19th century were the ones who said germs don't exist.
Right, because we can't see them.
And people who said germs did exist were ridiculed and laughed out of the trade. Right, and
I agree with you completely. Just because you can't see it or it isn't happening doesn't mean it can't happen.
And even since Sagan's day, there had been no exoplanets discovered then.
Right.
We now know that there are literally trillions and trillions of Earth-like planets.
Yeah, well, they just speculated as to the existence of them outside of our solar system before. The real problem is that if there's a leap, a technological leap that opens the doors to massive innovation.
Yeah.
That once this happens, and then all this stuff sort of exponentially expands in terms of technological possibilities, all you would need is a few hundred years, and you have an unrecognizable set of technology.
Yeah, sure.
I mean,
well, you were talking about CERN. I mean, the whole antimatter idea that they're still trying to figure out.
Yeah,
that's an insane source of energy that we have never even experienced.
Yeah,
with a grain of sand that can run a city. I mean, it's that big.
Yeah.
And then there's also the theory. There's a recent one that space-time itself doesn't exist. So the speed of light barrier becomes moot because there's, I guess it's the quantum holographic theory of the universe.
Yeah.
Is
that Michael Talbot's book?
I can't remember.
Holographic Universe, is that who wrote that?
Yeah, I think so. But the idea that the universe is basically just a geometry that when you look at it from a certain angle seems three-dimensional.
Right, and it folds into itself, so you could travel through. That's the wormhole thing.
Well,
right,
it's not even that. It's the idea that space-time is an illusion, and that it doesn't really exist, and that's why entanglement is possible. The idea that spooky action at a distance.
Yes.
That
quantum theory.
Entanglement.
Yeah. But the reason that these atoms on opposite ends of the universe can affect each other instantaneously
at the same moment
is because they're not really at opposite ends of the universe. They're really right next to each other. It just seems like they're at opposite ends of the universe.
Because our ability to perceive is basically based on what we have to do to stay alive on this planet. So our meager little chimp brains are trying to quantify all of these things that are around us all the time. So we put them into this sort of three-dimensional box of movement and distance and
that the
time.
entire universe could be a compact thing that projects itself like a hologram onto a screen.
I love these kind of conversations because I'm clearly too stupid to really understand what we're saying.
I don't understand. I don't understand anything I just said.
And I don't understand you two. So how stupid does that make me?
Well, we don't understand each other. So
this is perfect.
We're all the same. Yeah,
but that's why. I think it would be interesting to do a documentary or something about ufology, because one thing is the assumption that they're extraterrestrial is an assumption. But the thing that intrigues me is the power of ridicule to silence even the most intelligent people in our community from examining something. Like the ridicule kept doctors from accepting germs.
Sure.
Because they didn't want to be ridiculed by their peers. And even now, you've got people that will, like Michael Shermer, will cling to the most absurd explanations for phenomena like the F-16 radar footage.
What was Michael Shermer's
I can't even remember it, but it was pretty. It really went to great lengths that entailed having to basically diminish any respect you had for any of the people who reported on the events. It had to go into character assassination in order to eliminate it.
Yeah,
Well, that's the best way to kill an idea.
He's a professional skeptic, and I
Yeah.
like Michael a lot, and he's been on the podcast many times. But
Yeah.
I actually had him debate Randall Carlson and Graham Hancock about these ancient civilizations,
Yeah.
and it wasn't very good for him. Like
No,
there
well, I
were
think
some clunky moments.
because skeptics are believers.
Well, the problem is they're
In
believing.
skepticism.
They believe in
The
skepticism.
problem is being
Right.
a skeptic itself. It's
Yeah.
a stupid way to look at the world.
It's a choice.
Yeah.
You're actually
Yeah.
sure about something.
I mean, you should
Yeah.
be objective.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't be skeptical.
Right.
Being
Yeah.
skeptical is like, I don't know. But
I know for sure that that's not true.
Yeah.
but it serves a massive purpose for people that really don't understand things, and he can explain it to you with actual science. As long as the actual science is being used, and it's not character
Yeah.
assassination, it's not mockery, it's not. There's certain people that are just debunkers. They
Yeah.
can call themselves skeptics, but they're not looking at things like, oh, maybe that is effective, maybe that is healthy, maybe
Yeah.
that is interesting. No, they don't look at it that way.
No.
They're looking at it. They're trying to pick it apart, and that's fine if you can pick it apart. But if you cannot, you have to be objective about the fact that, oh, well, this is a very interesting
Yeah.
phenomenon, and this is what we know about science, and this is what we know about this thing, and
Yeah.
right now we have a weird conundrum.
Did
Yeah.
Chariots of the Gods
Yeah.
man? Did he?
Eric von Daniken.
Was
Yeah.
he? Was he a believer?
100%.
Yeah.
He's all
Still
in.
is.
Still in.
Still
all
is.
in. I asked him. The first thing I asked him, I said, "What is
Can
the?"
I pause?
Yeah.
I desperately have to go pee.
No, go.
Yeah.
Go. The first thing I asked him was, "What is the most compelling piece of evidence?" And he pointed to this Mayan stone plaque that's in Palenque. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Is it in the book?
Yeah, it's a god, one of their former kings that is lying on his back, and he looks like he's moving some. Jamie, see if you could find that thing. It's this really cool carving that they found that looks like there's a guy who is in a seat, and it looks like there's fire behind his back, and you could say
ship, like he's
you
a
could
ship.
say that he's manipulating controls on a ship, and he's shooting a rocket into the heaven. I would like to see what the mainstream version of that is, because also it could just be art.
Yeah,
it could be-
imagination, right?
it could be that they knew about certain things being propelled by fire.
That
There
one?
it is.
Is it
Yeah,
this one?
that's it. So if you see this, I mean, that's a big ass stretch to say that guy's in a spaceship. I don't know what the fuck that is. He's sitting down.
Looks like an altar, kind of, to me.
He could, yeah, but it does look like he's looking through an eyepiece, right?
That's true.
But what does that mean? Is it a telescope?
I don't
Maybe
know.
he's just got a telescope. I
Maybe
mean,
it's just an astronomer.
yeah, it is possible. I don't think they had telescopes.
No.
I don't think a telescope was even invented till
No. Do they even have glass at that point?
Oh, I don't know. Well, I don't know if the Mayans did.
Wow.
But that was his number one piece of evidence. I was like, that's kind of silly.
I mean, when we were kids in the 70s, Bigfoot, and Chariots of the Gods and everything was so new.
Hey, look at this image. Look at the bottom of it. Even the part where the flame's supposed to be coming out from below him.
Which flame?
Yeah.
Where's the
flame?
What's the flame?
I guess the flame is the shit at the very, very bottom. But I mean, I'm not even sure I buy that. If you were going to draw fire, you'd do a really shitty job if that's your fire.
That doesn't really look like fire to me. That
No.
looks like
Could be
an
anything.
ornate seat or
Right.
something.
Right. If that's fire, like what is all the stuff around them? What's all that stuff? That looks kind of mechanical though, right? It looks like there's bolts.
It does.
Did they have a fire god? Maybe they drew the fire god.
Is that it looks
Just
like a monkey
stretching,
kind of
making a
face.
stretch.
With titties.
on it.
Monkey's got some titties,
Oh, now I get it.
right?
Yeah.
And then the monkey's, is that his teeth?
It's the first
They
Hooters.
look like arms, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
It does. It could be arms. But that's the point. Is it's so open to interpretation. There's so much that you could see if you're looking to see. But what I do see is this guy who's
He's reclining in an odd
he's
way.
chilling,
for sure.
and it looks like he's looking through something.
What's that thing hanging across him? You see that thing across his arm?
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that is.
That's
But
bizarre.
here's the thing: I don't think anybody knows what the fuck that is. But so for him to say that this was the number one most compelling evidence,
I mean, were people getting high at this point?
oh yeah.
So I mean, that could be just some
Oh,
guy got
yeah.
high and
LSD.
carved something.
Yeah, they were taking different kinds of plants that had lysergic acid in them. So what is this obsessing? What is your more recent obsessing about UFOs? What's the origin of this?
It's part of it is just the fact that the evidence, just the evidence itself, says you have to take this seriously, and yet no one does, or very, very few people do. I mean, even like again, that F-16 footage, that even Neil deGrasse Tyson, who is a great skeptic, said on one of the late night talk shows, he said, well, if you really want to look at the possibility of some non-human intelligence, that F-16 stuff is pretty compelling.
What is the F-16
What did you see?
stuff?
What is
That's
it?
the stuff that To the Stars Academy put out. It was the CIA.
Oh yeah,
footage.
Tom DeLonge.
Yeah.
He's crazy.
I've never
had
met
him on
him.
the podcast.
Is he?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, and very nice guy.
What do you
see in the
he's,
footage?
He's a very nice guy and a brilliant musician.
Yeah.
And he's a loon.
Yeah, I've never
he's
met
a
him.
fucking full-on believer. I mean,
Yeah.
he left Blink 182 to go do this To the Stars Academy shit. He's the biggest
Yeah.
goddamn rock band on the planet. Okay, here's something interesting about this, and this was pointed out like by a video filmed by a fighter jet shows an unknown object near San Diego. Video from 2004 was released by the U.S. Department of Defense.
Wow, the way it moves.
There's something about the way it moves is really weird, huh?
Could it
Yeah.
be a jet, though? Jets
No.
can move that way.
One of the pilots told the media the object was not from this world.
Yeah, and here's the thing: it's like the skeptics, in order to dismiss it, they have to go. Well, they have to make arguments like that jet fighters are not better observers than anyone else.
Pull up Mick Ward's take on that. Mick Ward, the guy who he runs what is it? Metabunk. He runs a debunking site, and he's another one of those guys that is all in with the conventional explanation. Like
Yeah.
he goes way out of his way to not look at anything that could be at
Which is
least
the opposite
remotely
of Occam's
conspiratorial.
razor.
Yes.
Occam's razor says, that if you have to go to great lengths to dismiss something,
Right.
that's not following Occam's razor.
Right. Right.
Occam's razor says if the jet pilot says he saw this, he saw it.
I think he had an interesting take on it, though. And one of the things was there's a time during the video where the pilot shifted from 1x to 2x, which makes the image move more because you have magnification. Like, have you ever used magnifying
Yeah.
glasses or binos? Like, if you use 15x binos, it's very difficult to hold on a
anything steady,
subject.
yeah.
But 6 you can kind
Easier.
of look at things in the distance.
Yeah, but that's if you don't have about $3 million worth of stabilization equipment on your jet
Yeah.
locked onto this object.
Right.
Which is why that stays in lock.
He had an explanation,
it.
though, that was kind of interesting.
And when it breaks free of the lock,
How does it
that's
take off?
unbelievable.
Does it just take off or something like that?
it just at one point just the object just breaks free of the lock, and that's almost impossible.
I have a
It's
question.
impossible for anything that man
Why
has
is
built
this
to do.
With the quality of cameras today, why is this footage so shitty?
Well, this is infrared
It's
footage.
infrared footage.
Yeah.
Infrared.
Yeah, I mean, you need this when you're shooting at things in the sky. You can't rely
It's a
on
blurry
visualization.
blob.
You're looking at heat.
Yeah.
You're looking at heat signals.
Because visually, it's so far. It's so far. It would be essentially
escaping the
invisible.
rabbit hole. How to debunk conspiracy theories using fact, logic, and
That's
respect.
interesting.
So, what is he saying? What is he saying? The program. Make that a little larger for my stupid eyes. It said, for all, make sure you are talking about the right video. There's two that are confused. Here we're talking about the gimbal video, which is not from the Nimitz incident, which is discussed here. So scroll down a little bit. The gimbal video is that's the one we're looking at. It's an unknown date and location from unknown pilots. Nope. The TikTok one is from
Those
San
are
Diego.
known pilots.
Yeah, that's 2004. Okay, that's David Ferver. The media's discussed these videos. Tom DeLonge's To the Stars. The link contains the frames. What's he saying? Keep going. The black shape on the object, some kind of infrared flare glare. We know the shape of a very bright infrared source, like the engine of a plane, can be much bigger than the object itself, as explained here. Okay, so there's like a flare.
That doesn't explain the movement.
Yeah, it doesn't
No,
explain
it doesn't explain the movement. It doesn't explain. Again, Occam's razor
Yeah.
is okay. So this guy debunking it.
This guy's saying it's a
Look at it.
jet.
It looks nothing like it.
And the movements.
Well, even
similar.
if it is a jet's not capable of breaking free from the lock, right?
Yeah.
If they lock onto it.
And if you look at that, you can see the jet.
Yeah.
His own example debunks his debunking.
Right. Need not be moving.
Yeah.
The video need not be moving.
And it's also the assumption that this guy doing probably a few hours research has come up with something that is more credible than a trained fighter pilot who is there and visually seeing it.
What do you think it is?
And tracking it.
If you had to guess.
I don't know.
Let's get crazy.
I think it is.
From another planet.
It is an intelligent craft. It is a craft being piloted intelligently.
Why aren't they talking to us?
We're fucking apes.
Why would you? Yeah, it's
just
like
don't
Don't
know.
talk to us.
if
We're
you're-
assholes.
When you look at it, when you look at
the air.
No, I forgot. You're right.
Leaving fucking plastic straws everywhere.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, we cured it. No
That's
more
right.
plastic straws.
when you're a kid looking at an ant colony, you didn't go, "Listen to me, ants."
Yes.
You just looked at them. You know, there was
No, yeah, I
and they say,
agree.
why don't they go to the White House? So, why would you, when you look at an ant colony, go, "I must speak to the Queen"?
Right.
You know.
Yes.
No.
I've always said
you
that,
just look at
yeah.
ants.
Yeah, that's what the most ridiculous thing about like the old movies. Like the old movies that would land on the White House lawn.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
like right?
Yeah.
Like what is
Day the Earth Stood Still.
That's it. Yeah. Baratu Niktu,
Yeah.
whatever that thing was. Yeah.
Klaatu.
Barata
Klaatu,
Niktu.
Barata,
yeah.
Niktu.
Yeah, that's the Day the Earth Stood Still was like, what
Yeah.
is that, 1940 or something?
50s.
50s,
54,
55.
something like that.
Fucking great movie. I
Great
watched
movie.
it. I watched it really recently.
Because it's a
Remember
Christ
when they-
parable. I love
remember
Christ
they-
parables.
A little bit, right?
Christ stories are great.
He was a Christ parable.
Yeah, well, his name was
right.
John Carpenter.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
was that?
JC.
That's right.
Christ was a carpenter.
What do they do? Don't they
right.
shoot that object out of his hand the first second he pulls it out? Do you remember he has a thing that's going to cure cancer?
Yeah, they shoot him.
And they shoot it out of his hand immediately.
Yeah, and then at the end of the movie, he is killed and resurrected.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah, they
He's,
shoot him and he comes
he's
back
taken
to
by
life.
the robot. Takes
Yeah.
him to
Yeah, the robot.
So-
Yeah,
Love
what
that
a goofy
robot.
Yeah,
very tall.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
and like he looked like you would want a robot to look in 1950.
yes, yeah.
All
Smooth.
metal and shit, smooth. Yeah.
Chrome.
Yeah, those were the days. We thought that they would communicate. Like, wasn't there a whole rash of them that were seen over Washington D.C.?
Yeah, there was dozens.
Yeah.
Dozens of UFOs tracked and admitted by the government that they were tracking them and watching them. But they essentially, and then at the end, their explanation was nothing particularly important.
You know, we have a mutual friend who claims, I won't say her name, but she claims
No,
she
and
was...
I feel bad because I wrote her off as a lunatic when I first heard it.
Yeah, well, she was claimed to be abducted.
Yeah.
And then I was doing a show with her years ago, and she was telling us the story. We're all like, that's pretty funny. And she says, and then they took a scoop out of my back. And I'm like, a scoop? They took a scoop out of your back? And she showed on her back shoulder, there was a hexagonal diamond-shaped scoop out of her back. A divot.
It was hexagonal.
Yeah, that was...
Clearly?
Clearly. And no scar tissue.
Maybe she's a crazy bitch. and
No
she
scar
just-
tissue,
I
man.
know how to make this story stick.
Yeah.
Give myself
Yeah.
a little punch.
But
A hole punch back there.
I worked at a bookstore at the time, years ago, and I went into the alien section. It was the world's biggest bookstore in Toronto. That was the name of it. And of course, I went to the alien section and just looked all this crap up immediately, and there are other people
Yeah.
with the scoop.
Well, there's a lot of other people
Yeah.
with
You
the
know.
abduction stories, and some of them have like little pieces of something in their body. I remember you talking to me about this many, many years ago. I was like, oh, Dave's interested.
Yeah.
It was like implants. You were talking about people that have alien implants in their
Yeah.
body.
Yeah, and that's the thing. To me, it's just, I guess the thing that I'm kind of obsessed with now is just because we're comedians,
Yes.
and
Well.
the power of ridicule to silence debate is unbelievably potent.
Sure.
And we're part of that. We're part of the machinery that was used very, very consciously by the government to silence
Yeah.
any inquiry. You know, it was like, feeding the story the right way to late night talk show hosts. Made it so that nobody would talk about it.
So do you think that the government consciously fed those ideas to like Johnny Carson and those folks?
Yeah, I
Really?
think there's documentation of a pro, of that they, to make the UFO phenomena ridiculous.
Do you think they did that to avoid mass hysteria? Like if you're the government and you know there's nothing out there, but you see these people freaking out, you go, okay, look, we've used all of our military might, all of our scientific power, and we don't see shit. I'm not buying this, but these people are freaking out. This has the real potential to get out of hand and go sideways on us. Let's just start making fun of this.
Yeah, I don't know. 'Cause, I think it's more likely that there's something there that they feel powerless to control.
Do you think Kennedy was taken down into the basement of whatever and shown the alien sitting there.
This is
and-
what I
I don't
say about aliens in regards to Trump. If there's anybody that would fucking tell us, it's
him.
Trump.
He tweeted
Yeah.
tweeted
He
immediately.
would tweet it. He
Yeah.
would tweet it
Looking
in
at an
all
alien.
caps. UFOs are real, but CNN is fake.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's still
He is.
the
Yeah.
failing New York Times fails to find UFOs because
I'm
they're
looking
real.
at one right
That's
now.
why.
I'm
If
at
the-
Area 51.
If the government does have the evidence, they are never going to show it to Trump.
Right, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck's the point in being president if you can't find
Yeah,
out
I
about
thought that's-
UFOs?
Yeah.
If I knew that to become president meant you get all the access to UFOs, I might go,
Yeah.
okay.
And so far,
I'll make a try for that.
The presidents who have tried haven't gotten there.
No one gets it.
Like
I mean,
Jimmy
Clinton-
Carter. Jimmy Carter, said
Yeah.
he had a UFO experience.
Yeah, he saw something,
Did?
right?
Yeah.
He said he saw something. But see, that was back in the 70s where everybody was seeing shit. They were all talking about things. It was a part of the zeitgeist.
It was.
People were legit, like after Close Encounters of the Third Kind, especially, people
Yeah.
were legitimately thinking that aliens were going to come.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he proposed such a possible scenario in that movie.
was so good.
It-
Yeah.
It
People-
wasn't anything you expected
But-
it was going to be.
But like here, I was going to say here, like another example is like the Rendlesham, like that explanation of the F-16's locked, footage, like Rendlesham Forest, where they claimed that these American soldiers in the woods out in England mistook a lighthouse light for a spacecraft. That they were within 20 feet of a craft that they saw and took notes on, did
20
drawings
feet?
of. Yeah, they walked not even like right up against it, and they wrote down notes, saw like different sort of hieroglyphs on the ship itself, described the feel of it, this electrostatic feel of being around it, and the official explanation was they mistook a lighthouse several miles away for this spacecraft. So Occam's razor again says that's hard to believe that these trained observers, and that's the other thing, they always try to dismiss the idea that trained observers are better observers. But they are better observers.
Sure.
In the age of
Yeah.
today, where everyone has a high definition camera
Yeah.
in their pocket,
But have you taken a photograph of the moon on
It's
your
hard. Yeah, it's
on your
true. It
phone?
comes out super
doesn't look
crappy.
like the moon.
That's true.
Yeah.
Right.
There's no
That's true.
details.
Comes out as a
Because
blur.
the lenses are too wide. But Occam's razor says, all right, they saw something, but they, because what is the likelihood that trained observers who have been on this base for years, on this night, would mistake a lighthouse that they've seen every night for the entire time they've been on this base for a UFO? I mean, what is the likelihood that explanation is correct?
I'm not aware of that story.
Oh, Rendlesham Forest? Yeah.
How do you say it?
Bentwoods.
How do you spell
Rendlesham.
it?
Rendlesham. Rendlesham.
Rendlesham Forest.
Yeah, it was Bentwoods. It was 2 nights.
Sounds like a character actor on Columbo.
where there was and it's a nuclear installation.
And Rendlesham Forest.
The
as-
nuclear installations are always ripe with UFO stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. What year was this?
This was in the 80s.
1980.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And it's, and it said, obviously, the obvious explanation is, well, not the explanation, the only thing you can accept is that these observers saw something
Right.
and described it accurately.
Is it something that had crashed?
If you want to say that, no, it came down, was landed in the forest, and
It
then
looked at
and
it?
took off.
What do you think of the Roswell
And
case?
the night before that, Roswell, I think it's probably true.
Real? You're all in.
Yeah.
Wow, Dave, I never knew that about you.
But I mean, because
It's interesting.
because the cover stories for it are so much less believable than an alien.
Yeah, I used to have a joke about it.
Yeah.
That they put on the paper that they have recovered a crashed UFO and alien bodies. And the next day they said, we made a mistake. It was just a balloon. Well, what about the bodies?
Yeah.
What about the aliens?
Balloon.
Yeah.
Those are Mexicans.
Yeah.
They were Mexicans. They were drinking. Apparently, they thought the balloon was a pinata. They got a little
Yeah.
crazy.
See, I'm believing you right now.
But we just invented some new stuff
Yeah.
out of nowhere.
And then 30 years later, they go,
Yeah.
they were high altitude dummies that we
Yes.
were dropping.
That's right.
To test how they would fall.
And now
Right.
we have lasers and invisibility cloaks.
Well, they showed up again the next day with a bunch of weather balloon scraps. And
Yeah.
they're like, look, this is it.
Yeah.
Oh, the guy holding it up
Yeah.
like a
But
little...
what they don't tell you is that they flew the wreckage out to Wright-Patterson Air Force in 2 separate planes and that Truman met them there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, again,
Yeah.
the more rational.
2 separate planes.
The more-
Yeah, because they were worried
Yeah.
that one would crash.
The weather balloon thing is not as rational
I love
as
it.
something weird happened.
Listen, I want it to be
Me
an
too.
alien so
Yeah.
bad that
Oh, me
I
too.
question myself. So that's my problem.
I want it
with
to
all
be,
that
but
stuff.
But I won't like. I'll be skeptical about stuff that just seems crazy, or people that believe sort of ascribe some sort of metaphysical explanation for all this. My thing is just, well, if the preponderance of the evidence says something happened,
Right.
but doesn't tell you what happened,
Right.
then you still have to believe something happened. Not knowing what happened isn't evidence that it didn't happen.
And yet you're still a flat earther.
Yeah. Well, have you looked outside?
It seems flat.
Yeah.